Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll be live streaming some of my all-time favorite video games right here on Friday, August 31st from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Time, so I hope you'll join me for that. We've got a ton going on here at Spirit Blade Productions and Christian Geek Central, including our in-depth Bible study for geeks, movie, game, and other entertainment reviews or commentary, live streams, Christian geek news, original audio dramas, and tons more. And on top of all that, you can become a Spirit Blade Insider with an influential voice and get access to exclusive content and rewards. It's your involvement as a patron that will keep all of this going and growing, so I want to thank you for your consideration in that. For more information, please check out our Patreon page through the link below at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. Thanks for listening. Well, my editing skills are crap, but can the same thing be said about bleeding steel? Stick around and find out. Go, go, Power Rangers! Bow, now, 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 now. Go, go, Power Rangers! Bow, bow, now, now, now. Go, go, Power Rangers! You mighty morphin' Power Rangers! Hey, I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions, here with my uncut review of Bleeding Steel, starring Jackie Chan. The synopsis, or a synopsis at least, there's a couple. This one's the longer one on IMDb, and it reads, a special force agent / police officer is assigned to protect a young woman involved in a science experiment of longevity from a gangster with an army of advanced technology who desires to obtain her power while also having connections with him. That's a little bit of a bumpy synopsis for me. It feels a little bit like it might have been translated almost, and that sums up a lot of how this movie felt to me. When I saw the trailer, well, first off, I should say, I wanted to review Replicas this week. And usually the theaters in my area do get limited release movies like Replicas, which currently only has a limited release. That was not the case this week. I realized that only too late, and so at the last minute I had to find some other kind of movie type content to review, and this is the best I could find. The trailer made me think, oh, okay, maybe this is another Jackie Chan movie where kind of as he's getting older, he's going for stuff now and then it's a little more serious. I've seen one or two movies advertised for him where he's clearly going for a more serious kind of vibe, and I thought maybe this would be it based on the trailer. The trailer, I felt like, lied to me. This movie felt to me like a kid's movie with rated R violence and PG-13 sexuality. The characters are like just over the top and cartoony, especially like the villains, and like there's a comic relief character as well. But even like the hero, Jackie Chan, will have some moments that are just a little bit silly. It's a silly and goofy action movie. The dialogue and the performance style among the many members of the cast is really kind of over the top and cartoony. It reminds me a bit of maybe taking the aesthetics of anime, like a typical Japanese anime action type movie with some comedy sprinkled in as they usually have, and translating that to live action. That is probably the best way I would describe this. I really dislike most anime specifically because of the humor. The humor is over the top and it doesn't connect with me at all. And so you can imagine maybe how I might have felt about this experience. Gosh, I don't want to spend a bunch of time talking about this movie. I feel like I've done a couple of negative reviews lately, and I got better ways to spend my time than to be just going on and on and on and on about something that I don't like. Is there anything else I want to say about the story? It felt like this would speak more to maybe the audio aspects of the movie, but it felt like it was partially written in post-production. There was some ADR, which is when the actors will record the dialogue again after recording a scene on film. They'll get them together after the movie's been edited, or while it's being edited, they'll get them together and have them talk along, just like as if they in the old days when they would create the animation for a cartoon first and then have the actors sync along with them. I think it's much more common now to record the actors first and then animate around their performance. But anyway, it felt like there was a like it was bad ADR. It was rough. It was rough, and even like some of the I'm not sure which language they were speaking. I think it was probably Chinese. This script is a mix of English and I believe Chinese. I don't speak Chinese, so I wouldn't know it from Japanese. I don't speak Japanese either. So, and even when they went into like the Chinese, it still like the lip sync was still a little bit off. It felt like it was produced rather than in the moment. Recorded there in the moment. So it was just oof. It was rough. And then there was also instances where clearly the actor in the ADR booth was given a line to say that was not supported by what was filmed, because a person would maybe just barely have their mouth open, but there would be like some talking going on, and it would be brief, but the little instances like that were like, dude, what are they doing? What are they doing in post-production? And maybe there was some kind of like translation stuff going on. Maybe they felt like for American audiences they would need to fill in gaps a little bit more and add in some extra dialogue. I don't know what was going on, but something was up, and it was a real distraction. And not only that, but there was just a little bit of a tendency in the ADR for it to sound like Japanese anime, where you would have a voice actor. The way a voice actor is going to approach animation or, say, audio drama is going to involve just a little bit of exaggeration of everything, just a little bit more inflection in everything. Because even in animation, when you have visuals, there's still only so much subtlety you can show, because there's only, you just can't show the same subtlety as in a real human performance. And so they amp up the emotions and the expressiveness a bit to compensate for that. And then, of course, with no visuals and audio drama, that's, of course, what you're going to hear as well. It felt like, in a number of instances, the ADR was being recorded in the style that one would record dialogue for audio drama, or maybe not audio drama, but anime. And they would also sometimes in the recording capture some of those anime sounds. It wasn't as frequent as I hear it in anime, but little things like like those little breathing noises, whatever they are, that like I don't know anyone in real life that makes those noises. And so anyway, it was rough. It was rough for me. As far as like the stunts and visuals go, this was the same kind of Jackie Chan stuff, you would expect him to at some point get his hands on some kind of cloth-like material and get tangled up in it and do kung fu while he's tangled up in things, So it's that, and it's just in a different, slightly sci-fi setting, which by the way, the sci-fi setting, I was really having trouble figuring out, like, what is going on? This seems to be a modern world, but the villains have like not a Death Star, but in Star Wars, that big, almost arrowhead-shaped massive ship, they have one of those in this movie. Looks almost identical to whatever that carrier, that starship carrier, whatever it is in Star Wars is. The villains owned one of those. They cruise around the world in that, and they also wear like Tron Legacy type costumes with like black leather and little like light lit up strips, and there's kind of like a villainess who's like the main lieutenant of the big bad, and she looks like a character from The Matrix. Specifically, I would say like The Matrix Reloaded, and in The Matrix, there's kind of context for that. When someone gets awakened from their life in the Matrix and they become aware of their surroundings, then their appearance changes to represent the kind of like power and sophistication or whatever, just this different status that they have. But I could not think of why in the world this character would be dressed the way that she was whenever she goes out and does her missions for the big bad and stuff. It didn't make any, and she stands out so much from the other normal people that are dressed normally in the world, and it was weird. It felt like, like it was a creative decision that was more about, oh, this would be cool, let's make the villain look cool like this, but it didn't have any kind of like logic as to why in this world would she be dressed that way. It was I don't know. I lots of stuff I was struggling with. So that and the humor was really like taking me out of the movie a lot. The visual effects also really contribute to the kid movie vibe because they look like they were produced on a smaller budget. They just have a lower quality, and so it felt very, like I don't want to go as far as to say that it felt like Power Rangers. It wasn't that much like looking like a kid movie, but definitely in that direction. Okay, so, were there any themes that might stimulate worthwhile conversation on moral, spiritual, or philosophical matters? I don't know. There's a father-daughter something going on in the themes, but it's kind of undermined by a choice that the father makes early on in this girl's life to basically be separated from her. And I'm just like, why? You didn't have to do that. That just felt like a contrived thing to create conflict and a difficult situation to overcome in this movie, and I'm just like, whoo, boy. So I don't really feel like I need to say more about this movie, except it is not what the trailer, seemed to indicate that it would be. It was not a little kind of like indie or foreign movie gem that has maybe been overlooked. I think that for people that maybe already enjoy the style of anime and aren't bothered by the humor, but maybe even like that kind of over-the-top humor mixed in with, some outlandish character designs that they are really taking seriously and stuff in the context of the story, even though they're outlandish. So I think that there maybe is potential for someone who enjoys anime to like this movie, but it is definitely not for me. Now, I have no idea what your tastes are in movies, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Vader, oh man, skip it. The trailer just lied to you. It lied. And if you must inflict this movie on yourself, then do it with no subtitles. Because just like in the Super NES days of JRPGs, you can fill in the gaps with your imagination. And it'll work a lot better. Remember when they added voice acting and suddenly those lines were being chosen and performed in a way by an actor in a way that like totally was grating? And remember when animations started getting more sophisticated and yet they still kept doing the over-the-top kind of like body movements and stuff in JRPGs in the PS2 era? That's the kind of roughness we're talking about here, Pater. So you want to turn off the subtitles so that you just don't even understand what's being said when they're speaking in a non-English language, and you can just kind of like try to imagine what they're saying, and it'll be better in your head that way than what you're hearing. And you'll get enough. You'll still be able to follow the movie. Because I did that. I turned off the subtitles for most of the movie. There was only 2 scenes that I was like, better back it up, turn subtitles on. There's a little bit of exposition there that I can tell is important, and then turn it back off again. That will make it somewhat tolerable for you, Pater. But really, you should just skip it. Just skip it. It's rated R for violence and some language. Those are my thoughts. I'd love to get yours in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe. Click that notification bell so that you don't miss the next video when it comes out. We've launched a Patreon for Christian Geek Central. Go check out patreon.com/spiritblade productions for info on the rewards that you can get for supporting this work as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. Oh, jeez! Oh, jeez!
Mission in Section F.
What the crap? Oh my gosh! Super intimidating. Oh jeez! I didn't know that was gonna bother you so much. It's because I killed your boyfriend, huh? I got your skin too now. I don't feel right. Gotta be reflexible. Oh, jeez! I'm lacking some serious brain functionality.